everybody. Dr. Joan F. Land here. Just so delighted to be with you. Today we are going to talk about how do you know if you have addiction to processed foods. This is, of course, it's just a very timely topic. People need to know whether they have addiction to processed foods so that they can do the right thing. Just stop following advice that could never have worked. So we're going to talk about 11 behaviors. This is the classic way to find out whether you have an addiction. So let's just jump right in. The first way you know you have an addiction is if you eat more than you were intending to eat. So let's say you have a plan, you wake up, you say, today I'm going to eat this, this, and this, and then you go to bed at night and you didn't eat that, you ate much more. Or suppose you open a package of something and you say, I'm just going to have one, and then after a while the package is gone. Or you go to a restaurant and you say, I am not having dessert. And then at the end of the evening you have a dessert. That is called unintended use. And if you've ever had that experience, or if you've had that experience, especially in the last year, then that's an indication that processed food addiction is active. I do want to say that this is not your fault. In another one of my short videos, I tell people what happened. You know, the tobacco industry came in to processed foods in the 1980s, and they just started putting addictive substances in our food. We didn't know it, kept eating the same things, but these new foods had addictive sugars, flours, salt, processed fats, gluten, dairy. They're just loaded up with addictive substances. So if you have unintended use, it's not your fault, but your health professional can tell you what to do about it. So have you ever tried to cut down? Have you ever tried to, say, diet or lose weight? And maybe you can do it for a while, but then you slip up and it all comes rushing back. Well, that's another indication that you might have addiction to processed foods. Or have you ever spent just a lot of time feeling groggy from overeating, feeling tired, just falling asleep on the sofa because you have overeaten? Or do you spend a lot of time, like on your way home? Do you stop at this fast food place and that fast food place? Or do you spend a lot of time at home baking processed foods like cakes and cookies and pasta dishes, all these very processed food heavy dishes? Or do you spend a lot of time going to the grocery store or stopping at convenience stores to get processed foods? So this is another indication that eating processed foods might have overtaken your life in a way that you never intended. Now, the next criteria is cravings. So if you think about food between meals, if you're thinking about food when you're like talking to somebody and you just wish they would stop talking so you could go get some food, those are all cravings. Or you just hear, like, you know, something is in the kitchen and it keeps saying, oh, come get me, come get me, come get me. Then that is a craving. And that's an indication that the craving part of your brain is hyperactive. So if you have trouble like keeping up with your business affairs, if you have trouble getting to work, if you have trouble playing with your kids, if you have trouble getting through school because you're always thinking about food, or because you're too tired from having overeaten, or you can't get down on the ground anymore, then these are all indications that processed food consumption has really started to take over your life. And so you're going to be so happy to know, oh, it's processed food addiction, and I'll work with my health professional and I'll get over this. Do you eat despite having social problems, like people, like you're afraid to eat in front of other people because you're afraid that you might lose control and eat more than you want to? Or do you just like do people criticize your eating? Is this a problem in social situations? Like you just don't want to go anymore? Do you have you given up important activities because maybe you'd rather go home and eat? You're like, I don't want to see those people. I'd rather go home and just take my clothes off and change into something comfortable, turn on the TV and eat. So I don't want to go because I've gained weight and I don't want them to see me this way. Or I can't pay attention to what they're talking about anyway because my mind is always thinking about food. I just don't want to go. So if you have given up social activities, or if you've given up like going to the gym, like my joints hurt too much and I don't want to go because I don't want to be seen in my gym clothes. I'd rather go home. That is a kind of a gradual process of isolating, which is very common with processed foods. Do you eat while you're driving? Like you go through the drive-through window and you've got one elbow on the wheel and the other hand are putting in the French fries and the drinks and the hamburgers. If that's hazardous use, that's when you want to eat something so badly that you're actually endangering yourself. Or do you fall often? You know, maybe your body size has gotten such that you trip easily, or you're out of balance, your joints are not working quite right. Those can all be signs of processed food addiction. Or if you're suffering abuse because you feel so bad about yourself and your body shape, or you just want this person to stop abusing you so that you can go eat, then that can be another hazardous use. Now we're on to number 9. Number 9 is, do you have problems as a result of eating? Do you have a physical problem, like your joints hurt? Or do you have emotional problems, like you're depressed, you're eating over being depressed, or you're eating over being stressed, or you're eating over being anxious? Sometimes people eat because they feel like if they don't, they'll be so angry. So are you eating just to make yourself feel better from being irritable? Those are all eating in spite of knowledge of consequences, or are you eating even knowing that you should be losing weight? And then have you found that you want to eat more now than you used to? Like maybe you bought this much ice cream a couple of times a week, but now you're buying that much ice cream every night. Or you're buying that much ice cream. You used to buy this much and now you're buying that much. Or you're buying a bigger box of something. Or you used to have that break for a snack only in the afternoon. Now it's in the afternoon and the morning and on your way home. So are you just eating more than you used to in order to get the same kind of feeling? And then the last question is, do you eat to avoid like having a headache? Do you eat to avoid fatigue? Do you eat to avoid drowsiness? Do you eat to avoid a stomach ache? So those are all the headache. Do you eat to avoid a headache? So those are not eating because you're hungry. They're eating because you're actually avoiding withdrawal. So those are withdrawal symptoms. So let me just run these down again. If you have a piece of paper, you might want to just check off, do I do this, as you've listened. So number 1, when you start eating something, do you eat more than what you planned? Number 2, have you tried to cut down? Like, I don't want to eat that much. I want to lose some weight. And you just can't do it, or it comes right back. Number 3, does this take up a lot of time? Stopping and getting things, making things, and then sleeping it off. Number 4 is cravings. Do you think about food between meals? If there's something in the kitchen, can you not do anything else until you go and eat it? Number 5, do you have a hard time just running your life, taking care of your kids, or getting through school, or getting to your job? And do you eat in spite of people criticizing it? This is number 6. Are people criticizing you? Is it hard to have social relationships because of this? Number 7, have you quit going out? Have you quit going to the gym or to events? Number 8, do you eat even when it's dangerous to do so, like you're driving with your elbow? Number 9, does your eating cause problems that you know about, but you keep eating? It's either a weight, or you've been told to stop for your diabetes or your cancer or your heart disease or your high blood pressure. You've been told to stop and you can't stop, even though you know there are consequences. So that's number 9. Number 10, are you eating bigger sizes more often? And number 11, are you eating not because you're hungry, but you're eating because you have a headache or because you're tired? So those are all reasons to ask yourself, ask your health professional, do I have addiction to processed foods? We are here to help you. I am Dr. Joan Ifland. My website is foodaddictionreset.com. Work with your health professional to find out how to get additional help. You can find us out on Facebook, Food Addiction Education. I will do anything I can to help you. Thanks so much for learning about food addiction today. Bye-bye.